All right, listen, put the pitchfork down whether you're a Habs fan who loves Brendan Gallagher like me, or if you just think it's absolutely out of this world, it's not going to happen in this universe or the next, in all the Doctor Strange's multiverses. No way Brendan Gallagher's getting traded. Just breathe for a sec. Give me a minute to explain why I think that absolutely, if Brendan Gallagher has even somewhat of a bounce back season this year, his contract is tradable. Now, let me be clear. If Brendan Gallagher's goal total doesn't start with a 2 this season, it's going to be basically impossible to trade his contract. Let me preface that. But I believe with how he's looked in preseason, how he's been training, and he's finally been healthy, I do think he can be up there in 20 goals again. We've seen Brendan Gallagher when he scored his 20, his 30 goals. He's in front of the net. He gets his nose dirty. He gets into it. Yes, it's somewhat injury prone, and that does deter teams, but we'll get to that in a minute, okay? I'll talk about that. But I do think Brendan Gallagher will score upwards of 20 goals this season. And if you're the Montreal Canadiens, you want to get some of his veteran wisdom, his knowledge about playing in the market of Montreal and being beloved by the fans. He's going to pass that on. He already has to guys like Caufield and Suzuki who love the guy. Can also give it to Juraj Slafkovsky and Caden Gooley, these younger kids coming in as well. But here's the thing. You can't trade a $6.5 million player in Brendan Gallagher who just scored 6 goals. I fully understand that. Here's why you can trade a Brendan Gallagher who scores 20, 25, dare I say 30 goals for Brendan Gallagher. You can trade him because if he's producing, teams who are thinking, ooh, this guy's going to get injured, listen, we've seen how many teams, look at Tampa, look at Vegas, plenty of other teams have done it, LTIR. Okay, teams are less scared to pick up injured players and injury-prone players because they have that option of LTIR. The Habs just did it. They got 10.5 milli free from the Carey Price situation there. I do think that they're not as worried about Brendan Gallagher because a team acquiring him, if he does get injured, LTIR, you can make that money back. Yes, you have to worry about it down the road, but look at Vegas getting Eichel, getting Stone, getting Pietrangelo, all these guys, okay? They're not worried about it. They just picked up Shea Weber's contract. So the LTIR is a very, very good argument for why the injury-prone nature of Gallagher's play is not as scary as it seems on the surface. Also, I'm looking at it, I'm seeing 30-year-old Brendan Gallagher, $6.5 million per season. I understand you, that's really not attractive for teams when you got a 30-year-old making 6.5 for the next 5 years and he's already 30, okay, and he's injury prone. We talked about the injury prone stuff. As far as the salary goes, we know now with the new TV rights and a lot of things going on with the NHL in terms of revenue, they're experimenting, dipping their toes into different types of stuff like NHL and ESPN like they used to do back in the day. That's making the money. The cap is expected to increase a lot. Okay, in the next few years, the salary cap is going to increase a lot. That $6.5 million is not going to look anywhere near as steep as it looks right now, even in a year or two. It's going to look a lot better. So then, all of a sudden, the risk to reward ratio for teams acquiring Brendan Gallagher cuts down a lot. And again, maybe it's not this season. Like if he gets traded next year or in 2 years, then there's only a few years left on his contract and he's still producing. Obviously, like knock on wood, that's what you want. You want him to be healthy and producing. But I do think that Gallagher last season, the whole thing was just out of whack for him. I don't think 6 goals, even in his 30s, that's not indicative of what Brendan Gallagher is. I don't think he's finished by any means. I think that was a product of the season. Everybody on that team seemed shell-shocked about what was going on there and was not playing great hockey at all. Jeff Petrie, poster boy for that, eh? So, to me, a Brendan Gallagher who's rejuvenated, who understands the direction of the team. It's clear as day right now that it's a rebuild for the Montreal Canadiens, that it's time to develop the younger kids. And again, there's more options. We were talking about Kirby, Dach, and Brendan Gallagher being a pretty good duo. You can find somebody for him there, and he can start to produce again like he used to. Man, are you going to have a totally different Renaissance type Brendan Gallagher instead of the ghost of Brendan Gallagher, which is what you had last year. I truly truly believe this guy will be tradable. He isn't right now at the value he is, but he will be tradable, and the Habs will be able to get a pretty penny for him if they do decide to move him, which, let's be real, in a rebuild at some point they might, unless they fast track it like the 2015 Flames and they make the playoffs like this year or next year or something like that, then they're going to want to keep him. But if it's a 2-3 year rebuild that the Habs are looking at, Gallagher's going to be one of those pieces that Kent Hughes is, I guarantee you, going to seriously look at moving, especially now that he hasn't been named captain, because I heard for years and years and years, and I even believed it, that Gallagher was next in line for the captaincy after Shea Weber. But now that it's on Nick Suzuki and it's going to be on